Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome, welcome. Happy Saturday. It's a beautiful day out there, a very cold day. The last time I checked the temperature, it's 13 degrees here where I am. I think our high today is 17, and I'm talking Fahrenheit. Right now, I'm just clearing some cards. After that, we're going to pull a spread that gives us best manifestation advice over the next 24 hours. Oh, Desiree. Yeah, I think a lot of us are homebound. I do have a party that I'm working later on. If we'll all be doing readings, I have to get out and go to that. But other than that, I'm staying in the house. Hello there, Miss Cheryl. Welcome, welcome. How are you? Yeah, well, I can't turn down going to a party and reading for a whole bunch of new people I haven't met before. That is like the epitome of my fun. If I was in Alaskan weather, I would still do that. What's your show? I'm glad to hear that you are good, Miss Cheryl. I'm fantastic, thank you. I'm alive, I'm breathing, I'm doing readings and Reiki. My YouTube's going viral. My client base is expanding. My life is good, 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 and getting better all the time. It's called Designated Survivor. So what that sounds awful. If you're the designated survivor, like lucky you, but what about everybody else on the show? Man, that's whoa. That has some heavy energy there. Just the title. Hello there, Cheryl. Where are you? Did you have to leave? Did you leave? Are you back home yet? Is that fire still raging? Last time I saw, I think yesterday or day before I looked at, there was still only like 20% contained or something. We want the update. Yeah, Cheryl lives in California. All is good. Okay, excellent. Excellent. I'm glad. You know, we get fires out here too, so I know what that panicky feeling is like. Now it's just time to rebuild. My first summer out here in Colorado, I was living in Golden, and that would have been the summer of 2011, and there was a fire on one of the mountains near Golden. It was like, I think 8 miles from town, or at one point it became like 4 miles from town, and it burned acres and acres and acres. And the lady that I was renting space from at the time, I was renting the basement and living in the basement in her house. We got in the car and we went up to one of the mountain roads where we could look across the gulch and see where the fire was burning and watch the helicopters coming with all the sludge and stuff. But talk about stressful and talk about breathing smoke. We breathed a lot. Yeah. Yeah. And then Scott was the one who had talked me into moving out here, and I called him up. I'm like, I know what to do about tornadoes. I used to live in Tornado Alley. I don't know what to do about fires. What did you do to me? I don't think he was too happy with that question. All right, so let's look at our best manifestation advice over the next 24 hours. Let's see what we have. I was all stressed out. I was like, man, the town's going to burn down. Where am I supposed to live? I just got out here. Best manifestation advice. Everybody think about, what do you want to manifest? Oh, baby, baby. You don't even know. All right. Best manifestation advice. First thing that we have coming up here is Sarnunios. Sarnunios talks about those primal things. This is interesting. It's a different take on the devil card, actually, because it talks not about the devil really in this deck. In this deck, there actually isn't a devil card. So Nunez is more about those, more like, if you know astrology, this is more like Black Moon Lilith. You know, the primal things that run us, that, are more at a subconscious level, that maybe have us more, they're part of our survival mode. So things that we do to self-protect, things that we do to survive, things that we do um, to make our lives more safe and better. And sometimes, we have those old primal modes, like fight or flight, that come back from generations back, that don't always fit in the culture and society that we have now. So when we're looking at manifesting, the very first card says we want to really be aware of, where have we gone primal? And primal also has to do, when we see these two people here, primal also has to do with reproduction, carry the species forward. So that can be a part of it. But we want to be aware of what is running us that is primal. And we want to really be aware of, is that still something that we want to be run by in this culture, in this society, with the choices that we have, which are very different than the choices that our ancestors had in front of them. So be aware of the decisions we're making and why. Be aware of our subconscious leanings and what's going on there. High Priestess in reverse talks about detangling those, untangling those things that no longer really work for us, even though they worked really well for our ancestors. Those things that get in our way now, it's time to kind of undo those. So we may have some really primal, really subconscious thought patterns that we've been operating on, because that's part of our operating system, basically. It might be time to, unplug some of that circuitry and plug in something that's more healthy for us. This is deep. This manifestation stuff is deep. It's really talking about, let's look at those thought patterns that were put in place because at one point they served us, or they at least served our species. If they didn't serve us personally, let's really look at those thought patterns, those primal things, and let's disentangle them from what we really need to be doing, and what the perspectives really need to be today to survive in this culture. Very different. Very different. And with the Seven of Pentacles, that pays off. And this pays off in two ways. So for some of us who are looking at this pays off in better health, maybe even better mental health, but definitely physical health is implied here. But also, it pays off in tangible benefits. It pays off in income. It pays off in assets. All right. So our advice today, we've got a deep crowd here on YouTube. I like it. Deeper than what we had on Facebook. Facebook was no joke of a message either, though. But definitely look at, how are we wired? What's our operating system? Where is that wired up in a primal way? And where can we check that and make sure that that's still beneficial and useful to us today? And let's rewire it where it's not, so that we can have the payoff of that. So where are we holding ourselves back, really? Where is our perspective or our thought process that's keeping us from moving forward? And let's pick that apart. Let's untangle it, and let's turn it into something good for us. Whole different perspective. Undo an old paradigm. Create a paradigm shift, as Bob Proctor would say. All right, so Anybody who has a question for me, feel free to put that in the chat. If you don't have a question and you just want a message from spirit, feel free to put that in the chat instead. And we'll do a few readings. I'm going to be here for about 30 minutes today, and then I'm going to have to take off. So I'll cover everybody that I can in those 30 minutes. Cheryl Ford, message. All right. Anybody else? Before I start shuffling, I'll write that down. Okay. Nomad's going to have a question. Go ahead and write that into the chat for me, if you will, Desiree. That way it'll be there whenever I'm ready. All right. Let's start with Cheryl. And then, Cheryl, if you want a question answered, put that in the chat, or if you want a message, go ahead and put that in. Oh, wow. Coming out with the big guns, aren't we there, Nomad? If you can't tell, I'm a little bit avoidant. Like that question just makes me nervous. Just thinking about marriage makes me nervous. Woo, woo, woo. We're going to lock down those hatches? Holy shit. I want to be able to reach the eject button if I need to, my gosh. I've been through some bad marriages. Yeah. Yeah. I want to be like a pilot in an F-16. I want to be able to flip that cover and hit the red button that says eject and just hold on to my seat and get the heck out of Dodge if I need to. Hopefully I wouldn't need to, but holy Toledo. All right, Cheryl, message from Spirit. Let's focus on you. Cheryl, message from Spirit. Yeah, I mean, I want my parachute on at all times, just in case. Just in case. Y'all don't understand. I found out after I got married to my second husband that he had already murdered two people. No, one person. He murdered one person while we were married, and I didn't realize. Someone tried to tell me, and I thought they were playing a joke on me because I was the stepmom. I mean, I have been through some scary stuff, guys. I don't want to have to go through the whole official divorce process again. If I'm in a bad situation, I want out now. I know, right? It was pretty diabolical, man. I had nightmares for a long time. Message for Spirit for Cheryl. What do we have? As I try to get myself back out of fight or flight just from the question that freaking Nomad has over here. Holy Toledo. All right, Miss Cheryl. 3 of Wands coming up in reverse. This talks about the idea of staying in the moment, not trying to plan things out for the long term, but just staying very much in the moment. And look at this. You've got another 3. 3 of Cups is celebrations, enjoyment, time with friends. This really comes across to me as, sometimes when we plan for the future and we haven't gotten to the future yet, we have a hard time stopping and appreciating how far we have come or how beautiful this moment is because we haven't met the future yet. Like, for an example, somebody about a week ago noticed that I had been losing weight. I don't know if you can tell that on the camera, but she noticed that I had been losing weight and she said something about it to me. And I've lost like 30 pounds, but I want to lose a lot more than that. And because I haven't met my goal yet, which it's unreasonable to think I would have by now, I really didn't take that very seriously whenever she complimented me on that. And she had to, like, basically hold me down and say, "Hey, what you've done already is a big deal. Not everybody can do that." And so this is what this reminds me of. This says, you're so busy looking at the goals that are out here that it's hard for you to be like, "You know what? This moment's pretty good too." So this is spirit saying, "Hey, be in this moment too. Look at this moment. This moment is a good moment in your life." All right? All right. So, you're bad. It's not your fault that I have trauma that I need to heal. It's not your fault. Don't apologize just because you brought up the M word. Let's see. I mean, someday you'll probably get married again. My chart says I will someday. Actually, my chart doesn't, but my hands do. When I look at my palms, I have one more marriage coming in. All right, best advice or heads up around this idea of being in the moment. So, Cheryl, we have the Fool coming up, and the Fool talks about new beginnings that are basically a leap of faith. All right. Princess of Wands, you may be feeling kind of tired, like you began this new beginning. You may be feeling kind of tired because you've been working on this new beginning for a while. Maybe it's not even a new beginning anymore. Maybe it's a beginning that you began in the past and you've just been putting one foot in front of the other for a while. Definitely, I had a trigger. Now, let's see. Next card that we have coming up is the Moon card in reverse. Now, the Moon card in reverse I've always liked, but I really like it in situations like this because it says that whatever this that is that you're working for, even though it seems like it's just so far away, just like my goal with my weight loss, it's coming. It's coming. And that's part of what allows you to be able to enjoy where you are now and the progress that you've already made is knowing that it's coming. Your final goal that you have set for yourself, it's on the way, but it's important to appreciate how far you've come so far on the way to it. That's what Spirit is trying to tell you. All right, so that was Cheryl. So now Desiree has a question. So I have a question for you. While I'm looking at this question for you, I have a question to ask you, Ms. Desiree. Do you want to marry Zach? There you go, Cheryl. Then this is just a reminder or a pat on the back. Do you actually want to marry Zach? That's my question. We're always so worried about how other people feel. Do we take inventory of how we feel? So important. So important. Does Zach want to marry Desiree? Does he want to lock her down? What does that even mean, nomad? Are you questioning whether you're wanting to is healthy or not? What does that even mean when you say, I want to, but I want to be right in the conscience? All right. Does Zach want to marry Nomad or Desiree? So you don't want to regret it later. Oh, you mean like me? You don't want to create triggers for yourself later? Imagine that. All right, so you have the 6 of Pentacles showing up first. This talks about that you guys have a nice even give and take, and I think he likes that it's a reciprocal relationship. 7 of Wands in reverse. This is vulnerable, like, he feels like he can be vulnerable with you. He can talk to you about the things that are important to him and not feel like he's gonna be judged or like that's gonna be thrown back in his face. Here's our first reference to the idea of, does he wanna marry you? This looks like a good idea to him, Ace of Swords. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. He's kinda like me is what he's coming across as, though, because look here, we've got the 6 of Cups in reverse. Like, man, I've got some things in my past that make me a little nervous about that. I don't exactly have good memories of being married. Okay. And then the next thing that we have is the Chariot in reverse. He's definitely not ready to take action and move forward on that idea just yet, even though he may think it's a good idea. And really, like, these first 2 cards, things are going well so far. Like, if you wanna say things are going well so far, but, like, I'm not ready to be out buying a ring yet. This is basically what these cards are saying. Like, things are going well so far. This is a good idea so far. But I've got some issues. I've got some baggage from the past that makes me think, let's go slow with this. Let's slow it down. The chariot moves fast when it's right side up. When it's in reverse, the chariot's not really moving. He might be for a good long time perfectly happy at whatever level you're at right now. If you're just dating, if you're living together or whatever, he might be happy to keep it here for a while until he can kind of work up the nerve to go, yeah, Desiree is not the same person that I was married to before. Or if he's seen other people's marriages, maybe his mom and dad's marriage was a total crap show, you know? Then he may be looking at that and going, "Oh, I don't know if I wanna jump into something like that." But there's definitely something here, like, when he thinks about marriage, that's not cool. That's not a cool thing to think about. That's not happiness making in his mind. So he's gonna have to, I think he thinks it's a good idea, but he definitely has some trauma from the past that makes him think, "But is it a good idea for me? Is it really gonna work? I don't know that I've seen this work out too well so far." It's gonna take him a while to actually, like, even though it logically recognizes, "Is that a good idea?" Excuse me, it's gonna take him a while to be at a point where he's like, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's jump in that carriage. Let's run down to the courthouse. Let's get this thing done." That's gonna take a bit. I would not expect him to pop the question for a while, for a couple more years, at least, maybe longer, actually. He feels like he's got some serious, like, serious doubts about marriage in general. Izzy. Welcome, welcome. Do you have a question for me, Izzy, or would you like a message from Spirit? By the way, those of you who don't want to do questions in public, I do offer private reading where you can do 1 question or 2 questions, or if you want a whole reading, we can do a live reading. Those are 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or an hour. Is this the same one that we asked about yesterday? Are you back from your interview today? I don't wanna ask about the same one. We gotta ask about something else. Boop-a-da-doo-doo-doo-doo, boop-a-da-doo, boop-boo. I think the advice was keep putting out resumes or something. Oh, yay, how was it? Did you enjoy it? What's coming in for love? Okay, how far in do we wanna look? Do you wanna look at the next 2 weeks, next 6 months? What are we checking? What are we checking? Next 3 months. They have a lot of events that you would not expect at the stock show, I think. Like, I've been to one and I got to see, some dog herding events, which I was totally into. I was surprised. I was shouting at those dog herding events as if I was watching the Super Bowl and I was a guy that was really, that their team was in the Super Bowl, and I did not even know these dogs. Jennifer, hello, hello. Oh, very cool, Lizzie. Remind me where you live again? Where is your arena? Okay, what's coming in for love for Izzy in the next 3 months? 3 months. Pittsburgh. Oh my goodness. That's cool. Oh no, let's see. What do we have here? Well, you've got some majors showing up for love. I mean, there's definitely some lessons here. Let's say that. I would say if we're going to ask about your love, do you want these answers? Put on your hard hat, fasten the seatbelt. We're going to be riding the roller coaster here. What do you mean about how much manpower is involved for a rodeo or a stock show? Right? Pennsylvania has a lot of rural area, though. I mean, Pittsburgh is not what I would think of as rural, but there's a lot of rural area in that state. Oh, yeah, it's totally serious. You could die on that shit. You don't have near the padding a football player has, and the impacts can be harder, I think. All right, let's see here. Okay, so for Izzy. Izzy. All right, so the first card you have out is the King of Cups. By the way, each of these is going to be about, what do we have here? We're doing 3 months, month and a half. So we're going to have about 3 weeks per card-ish. So we have the King of Cups showing up first. King of Cups showing up first just means that you've got somebody. There's definitely a romantic interest, and they're pretty comfortable with sharing their feelings with you. That's what we have showing up for your first 3 weeks. If you have not already met this person yet, I would say within the next 3 days. We don't see anything about heavy-duty commitment. This is still just a bunch of, lighter weight. We're not talking heavy-duty relationship, but somebody that's into you. Okay? Now, what do we have behind that? Now we have the 9 of Swords. Yummy. That's exactly what we want behind the King of Cups. Not. So this person is stressing us the heck out. Maybe they're a narcissist. We don't know that yet. I haven't seen it on the cards. There's something going on that we're stressed out about. What do we have next? Next, we have our Magician. This is at the 1.5 month point. Magician in reverse. Magician in reverse means we are not manifesting what we want to manifest in our love life. For one thing, could be. This is when you get spirit involved. You ask spirit to be involved in helping you manifest what you want in your love life. The other thing, though, this can have a very specific meaning. This can mean that there's no good chemistry. Or sometimes this means that, maybe the guy has ED, or maybe you have something going on where sex just ain't happening, man. Either way, you're either not manifesting what you want in your love life in general, or the bedroom life is really, it's on hurtin' status, as we would say in the military. It's hurtin' status. All right, now, after that, Death card in reverse, nothing's changing. The next 3 weeks, we still have this situation going on. Now, the magician in reverse doesn't mean there's nobody in your bedroom. It just means that there's nothing really happening with that person that's in your bedroom. Okay. And then we end up with the Four of Cups. This is stagnancy in the love life. So this is really interesting because we don't see any commitment and we don't see any breakup. We definitely have some activity happening, but there's nothing happening on the official level at all. It's almost like there's some kind of situationship that shows up, and so there's no breakup because what are you going to break up in a situationship? There's nothing to break up. And then we end up with 3 months from now, we end up with, well, this is stagnant. This really isn't going anywhere. Why isn't it going anywhere? It may have something to do with the idea that the sex just ain't happening. There may be something else too. We don't really know. But the idea that the sex isn't happening looks like that's really on your mind for like 6 weeks. Like, what can we do about this? Can we do anything about this? That type of thing. Izzy, you know what? If you ain't going to bed with no one, then this card says, man, I'm not manifesting what I want in my love life at all. But I don't think that's what's happening. This is nothing is happening in the bedroom. I think that's what's happening here. And you know what? You can tell me whatever you want to tell me about going to bed or not going to bed or whatever. Guess what? I've been doing this way too long to believe you when my cards are telling me something else. Because I've had way too many readings where people have told me, no, 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 no. You have lost the plot. You are out of your mind. There is no way. And then 2 weeks later, they don't tell me I was right. No, they can't do that to my face. They send me an email. Oh, you were right. Now I want to order a reading from you because you were right. Well, now I don't want to do a reading for you because you were so mean. I'm not saying you're loose. I'm not saying anything about you being loose. Make a blanket out of it. Hello there, Nancy. Welcome, welcome. All right, guys. So I've been here 30 minutes. That was kind of the goal today because I've got some other stuff that I have to do. So I'm going to get out of here. I hope you all have a fantastic day. If I didn't get to you for a message or a reading, if you want to order a private reading, feel free to do that. I have 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or 60 minutes. Or if you just need one question answered, I can do a 1-question reading or a 2-question reading. All of that stuff is on my website. You guys can find it right there. And yeah, if I don't see you guys back before the next video, I'll see you next time around. Peace out. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the notification bells if you want to catch me live again, and make sure notifications are turned on your device. Everyone have a fantastic weekend. Thank you, Cheryl.